All right, so this is going to be for the neon and grayscale assignment. So the first thing you need to do is create a 6 by 6 by 200 file in Photoshop. And make sure that 6 by 6 is inches. So this is my document. It should be a square. This is my layout right here. Just going to go back to new on my history. This is my layers. Right now I have a background layer. So the first thing we want to do to complete this, or to start this, is to create a gradient. So you're going to press G on your keyboard or on your toolbar. On the left hand side, you're going to locate your gradient tool. So if you press G, it's also the shortcut for the paint bucket tool. So just make sure that it's the gradient tool. If you've used the gradient tool before, then this will all be pretty familiar to you. But basically, this will create a new layer. So if you look at the layers, right now it's just a background layer. And once I apply this, it's going to automatically create a new layer. So I'm going to start in the middle. By the way, this your gradient tool, if you haven't used it yet, it should be set at linear gradient. So this is what linear gradient looks like. So you're going to use a line and you're going to stretch that line depending on how smooth you want that transition or abrupt you want that transition. So the shorter the line, the more abrupt that gradient is. The longer you stretch that line, the smoother that gradient goes. So that's how you use your gradient tool on here. And you could position it. What's cool with this is that you can use this line segment to position your gradients. You can move this around, situate where you want that gradient to start. For this case, we don't want linear gradient. So I'm going to go back to up here. I'm going to go back to new, or you could trash that layer. And I'm going to set this to radial gradient because we want our gradient to go in a radial fashion so that it's even all the way throughout the center, or from the center of your composition. And because we're talking about the center, we're going to start right here, and I'm going to click and drag to any corner. So I'm just going to click and drag to where it looks like this. And if you don't get it right the first time, know that you can always edit and adjust this thing. Okay, so that's how you use that. On your layers window, you should be able to see a new gradient on there. Now, if your gradient looks different than mine, it's inverted, all you have to do is double click this icon on your layers window, and you're going to get a window that looks like this, gradient fill. So this is another window with all these options and adjustments that you can do. You're going to click up here, and another new window comes up called the gradient editor. And here is where you change your color. So right now it's white to black. And going back to what I said earlier, if your gradient is inversed, meaning it's black here in the middle, in the center, and then it goes into white, then all you have to do is change the directions or the positions of these colors. So I'm going to move black over here to the left, and I'm going to move white over here to the right. And that's how you inverse your gradient. You can also, I'm going to switch it back to where it was before. You can also add colors here by just pressing anywhere in between the white and the black. And I'm going to choose a different color. You can double click this, or you can click this, and you can add a different color. So now I have this light red. So it goes from white to light red to black. And you could put as many colors as you want on here, but depending on your application. And if you don't like this color, you can just click and drag down and it will disappear. And that's it. If you have a chance, explore all of these folders right here. The basics is pretty much where everybody starts off with. And if you're wondering what this checkerboard is in the middle, that means it's going to be a transparent gradient. So it's going to go from one color to absolutely nothing. So it's there's different applications for that for sure. And then once you're done, you're going to click OK. And click OK. And then I'm going to grab my move tool. And there is my gradient right there.